Hey guys! Now, where were we? Oh, that's right. Starting a podcast on a very broken system. Books 1 and 2, but I won't gloat about the books too much. Because I'm not here for book sales. The books have already done their job. However, I will use them as a bit of a guide, because I'm a bit of an amateur at this. I'll use the books as, so I don't just go over here, over there, and you're left out there in podcast land going, this guy is definitely ADD, definitely. So anyhow, loosely for about what feels like to me about the 4,000th time, I was after tripping and landing in the gutter, for lack of a better way to put it, I ended up home. I ended up tied to the system, homeless, in jail. I spent a long time in prison. In and out. It's very, very too stubborn to ask for help. Too proud, all that type of stuff. Plus battling addiction, all that. It just happened. Anyway, but in that, at about year 3.5, so the job got way harder than it needed to be. Like, I mean way harder. And who was making it harder were the people that were meant to be helping me out. You know, they don't call it corrections for nothing. They don't. You're supposed to try and get some rehabilitation component, especially for very petty, non-violent crime. Anyhow, I got tied to the system, but in that, I saw how broken the system was. Right about the same time I got locked up, there was what I call in the book a perfect storm. And when I say a perfect storm, there was like a perfect storm of events that led to me being exposed. I can't believe it. I can't believe also people defend it. People hear me say something about the government using drug-addicted women, and they're like, yeah, so they don't think, you don't think that's degrading the women to have people just, hey girls, go do a job for us. The things that I got exposed to, not to solve crimes, not like some big murder investigation, was just out and out disgusting. And then when you put it like this, when you put it like, okay, so the police in the front line, all that woke stuff that Jacinta preaches, all that DEI inclusion and all this type of stuff, that's all irrelevant if your front line is no better than a bunch of rock ape Gestapos running around skitching dogs on people. I've seen, you'll see, tune in and you'll see. And then you tell me if we don't need to make some serious changes. Now, half the reason I'm here doing what I'm doing is because we're damaged. We're not doing, if we were doing well, if this system that spent 10 years with your money going after me, trying to harass this dog who even dared get in an IBAC investigation against a prison officer, if they were doing well, if they didn't have ridiculous recidivist rates, Indigenous women dying in prison after she's buzzed up 50 times, which weirdly changed to 9 times, if they were doing well, if they didn't have, this year just set the record for the worst crime stats in Victoria's history. Now, when you combine that with the arrogance and the just, yeah, who questions us? Who dares question us? Right, we're the gang in town. You know how many times I heard that? We're the gangsters in town. Good one. Well, can you do a bit better job, please? I had judges well and truly aware of the sport, they like to call it. This sport you will hear about was directly the cause, not like, oh gee, maybe, that cause, directly responsible for serious violent crimes that ended up killing innocent people. Now, I'm not going to just drop that one out there because I've got to play the game a bit. I've got to dangle it along and tell the story so you tune in. That's just the world we live in, sorry. But when you eventually come through the book and you hear the ins and outs, the ups and downs, and how it's not like, oh yeah, maybe, conspiracy, tinfoil. No, mate, don't worry. I'll put it all in order, documented it, just like I did eventually with the independent, broad-based anti-corruption. After about 8 years of me being too staunch for my own good, when you put it this way, when you're in the maximums, the big jail system, if you get seen as that could be a death sentence. So until I was stable enough to even dare, while I'm still homeless, in and out of prison, how can I challenge it? And this is what almost acted like a dangling of rope. The fact that I wouldn't, which is sickening in itself, the fact that I wouldn't lag them, the fact that I was too staunch, dangled a rope and led to them just showing me. And my hands were tied at the time. I was homeless, I was still battling addiction. I knew I was in no position to do what I'm doing now. So I just had to, okay, go along with it, smile, really? Seriously? Paying drug addicted women with the returned custody of their toddlers, and you can't see what is wrong with that? Hello, somebody's got a bit damaged, I dare say. I mean, think about that. Think about a system that in effect kidnaps a toddler, off, I think she was 32-year-old drug addict, who, what happened when I was in custody, which I'll get around to explain, when I was in custody, and me being a fool, thinking, that's why one of my favourite lines is, you can't be the nurse and the patient at the same time, because you can't. Here's me thinking, I'm going to be a hero and try and help this damsel in distress, and you just can't. Anyhow, people have to want to be helped. Anyhow, I was in custody, and she overdosed, and the calibre of person she was hanging around, the only man that had half a bit of nous about him, you know what he did? He had about 7 months worth of prison over him, as in he was wanted by the police. So he just ran, he scarpered, and left the poor girl overdosed with a baby in the house. That's the kind of people we're talking about, that the Victorian government see no problem with jumping on their down and out disadvantaged existence and then use it for their own advantage. It was the most disgusting, degrading thing I've ever experienced by zillion. Don't worry about the gangster stories and this, that. I can wax those ones too. Kilos, gear, all those. I'm not about that. I'm not about that at all. I was, for the most part of my life, I was just a hard-working, decent, just everyday person that was on and off battling a little bit of addiction, niggling since the Kurt Cobain days. So it was just waiting there, ready to grab me if something went pear-shaped in my life. And it did. I had a car accident and da-da-da-da-da. And then I entered the prison system for about 10 or 12 years. What I was exposed to there was carnage. And don't worry about the inmates. The inmates, you expect that. The inmates, you expect to have, that's just what a lot of blokes are. They're knockabouts that do whatever. It is what it is. But when you see it coming from the good guys, by far their character was 20 times worse than any inmate I considered friends in my time in prison. So that aside, I don't want to go into that we probably won't be able to avoid it, considering it revolves around the prison system. But what I got exposed to was just ridiculous. And what the perfect storm that led to it, loosely, was a letter I wrote, what turned out challenging the Alan Joyce. I call him the Alan Joyce of the corrective services system. They were denying inmates it's a right. So the right to get an education. So I, me being me, asked some of the heads, hey, do you think, bro, that's good, you should do that. Yeah, excellent. I even got told by the beautiful teacher that was being forced to lie, the education, just a lovely lady, who you could see was getting forced to lie for this little short man syndrome, ego. He was a maniac. This guy, I've got to paint this picture. This guy would come into a minimum security regional prison with its awesome mission statement about every inmate is afforded the opportunity to have meaningful employment, and if they choose to have available education, which was not the case at all. You couldn't get an education. But the worst part of it was that this guy would come in, the governor of the education system, I kid you not, he would come into that prison, walk past a line of inmates waiting to get their medication. Riff-raff. You're in prison, right? Riff-raff. Bunch of blokes, 100 foot long, in greens. Okay? What are you going to hear? You're going to hear, whatever, right? Banter. It is what it is. This guy would stop and turn around and pick fights. What did you say? Right. What? Did you say something? And he would look like what? Like, he couldn't pick who said it out of 100. And he'd end up like, did you say, like, getting all worked. Are you kidding? This is the caliber of person we were dealing with. Well, this person was getting the lovely lady at the education centre to lie for him. Anyway, long story short, I end up writing a letter to the commissioner. As it turns out, it caught them out. I didn't realise what I was doing was, mate, it's created enough for them to start, not just inside the prison system, for them to pass it on to what I call the Anti-Corruption Commission. I call it the Anti-Corruption Unit, which then would notify all around other government departments. Careful, this guy will write a letter. I swear, I'd walk into Centrelink office and somehow these people knew or were making references to the wording in that letter, and then so on and so forth. And there started the little sport around about the same time. I don't even know. The tinfoil hat in me thinks it was like a setup, like they did it as in sarcastically. But prison officer, which I'll have a whole podcast, if not 3, dedicated to this situation. He got himself in some criminal bother, which I'll get to explain. It's hilarious how the chef, I call him, the chef got himself in some criminal bother, as well as an IBAC investigation. And in all their wisdom, they came and investigated, asked me if I wanted to testify against the chef, right about the same time as the letter, and that led to me, Mickey Caleb, being government whistleblower. And in that, among other things, were disgustingly fellow drug addict, but these were women, drug addicted women, being got at by the system, who these women were then getting bribed with the returned custody of their toddler. And it goes on and on. The disgusting, I'm talking about surveillance cameras set up in your bedroom, and then going to prison and every prison officer making reference to your bedroom activity. I kid you not. It was like literally a weaponized sex offence. Corrections Victoria weaponized a sex offence to pay me back. I promise. Anyhow, so that's the introduction. The book's on sale now, which you're welcome to buy if you want. It's not about the sale of the books. In fact, the first book Because I'm that flat out, is not even properly re-edited, which I promised to get it re-edited and re-released, which I will. I will get around to doing that. But the story is told, and the books were released for a reason. That reason you'll hear. I had very good reason to release them as quickly as I could. I've spent day and night trying to get it to some form of publishable, and I had never done it before, so I didn't know what I was doing. But basically, the watchers, I wanted them to know that I'm going on with it, brah. Like this, when you hear some of the stuff that they exposed me to, the weaponized sex offences, the toddler cut. One time they ran a snuff porn ring as a cover story, which I'll get to. But think about how this is all in government offices with women in there. I've even got photos of the hidden cameras. This is all legal. Hidden cameras in urine testing rooms. They're deluded. They just think they're just like, oh yeah, nothing wrong with that one. And you know what they'd say? We've seen it all before. Are you listening to yourself? Like, just disgusting. The most disgusting of disgusting things, let alone the weaponized AI. I hear stories just today of how police officers, which is very obvious, the brave frontline police officers and the brave frontline prison officers, they're the ones who cop it the most. They didn't sign up for that. They signed up to... you know how many times I'd see prison, even police, who you could just see they'd be like, yeah, it's not... like shrugging their shoulders, particularly in the prison system. Michael, we can't do anything about it. You know, can you do something about it? Can you, right? Please, they won't listen to us. Then I would do something, and then 10 years of stalking and harassing later, I'm here to tell this story. But the thing that grinds my gears the most is the weaponized sex offence. They literally would set up surveillance cameras and then use the information they got from you wiping your bum to the sexual positions you were in with a girl. And exactly as my loving sister said, what about the women? They don't care about that. They will see a drug addicted woman who's prepared to do it, and they'll just jump on it and use it up like big puppet masters. I mean, imagine being a disadvantaged woman and having you've lost your custody of your child. You're gone. You're throwing dirty urine after dirty urine. You cannot get your child back. So they dangle the carrot. Listen, if you drive the hidden cameras against this dog, we'll give you the custody of... She used to say to me, this one girl, when I'd look at her go like, what are you doing? Like, meaning, I can see what you're doing. She'd go, I'll do anything for my toddler. I'll do anything to get such and such. I won't mention the child's name. I'll do anything to get such and such back. Are you kidding? So you've got somebody above you in a government overriding child protection, pulling your little strings, like blackmailing you in a sense, with the return custody of your toddler in Victoria, Australia. Come on, mate. That can't go on. Then you add to it the stories you've got now of pedophile cover-ups. Come on, mate. This is bonkers. Don't worry about the innocent people that have been killed because some meth head who was getting cooked has done something, has lashed out or driven a car or done whatever. Don't worry about that. Think about the child abuse in itself. This is happening in Victoria. Anyway, thanks. I hope that's about the first half an hour. Hopefully they'll get more professional and better as we go on. But I hope you enjoy what you hear. Michael Califf, signing out.